Intro to episode 13. My name's Phil.
I'm Chris.
I got that number right, guys.
I know, it took a while.
Our sponsor today is Loot Crate.
Yeah, I wish.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't have any sponsors.
Our sponsors is not Neutrogena because we said something negative about
Neutrogena doesn't work in
space. Right.
Yeah.
A lot of things apparently do not function in space as they do on Earth.
Yeah, it's weird. You'd think that they're the same. Anyway, gang, because we want you to get into the heart of this episode.
Yep.
Here's what we talk about on this week's episode.
We start off with some news, as always.
Chris talks about the crew beta.
The beta
that he took part in, and how he thinks the overall game is shaping up.
Yep. And then Phil hit us with some games he's currently working on for the Viral Achievement Month.
Yeah, I'm all over the place, but I would say that my focus is on Singularity, which is an Xbox 360 game. Also a fighting game, Samurai Showdown Sen, which is Chinese, or Mandarin, I should say. Let me get it right. It's Mandarin for 10, but I don't think there have been 10 games in the series. Maybe it's not 10. I don't know. Somebody call me out on that. I don't care.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, my usuals, Grand Theft Auto Forever.
Right, and then I talk about Master Chief Collection, which I just started to play this week as we recorded this podcast.
And don't forget, your finale, Destiny Corner.
The last Destiny Corner for a couple episodes.
Yeah. That is all. That is all, humans. Yep. Enjoy this episode while we steal your motor oil. It's a robot.
So we're not humans in this situation.
No, yeah, we're robots in this situation.
Okay.
All right. Enjoy. Or die. Chris, I'm a week away from getting my computer.
Okay.
It's the official street date is November 21st. Should be a week from Friday. When this goes out, it'll already be less than a week.
Yeah, it'll be the coming Friday.
So when I got the initial email that I ordered it said like estimated delivery date is between like the 21st and the 25th. Which, pretty excited.
Yeah.
You gotta hook that bad boy up. Get an Xbox controller with it. Probably not compatible with an actual Xbox.
Is it a 360 or a One controller?
I think it's a 360 controller.
Okay. Is it a USB one that you plug in, or is it...
I think it's wireless.
Okay. Does it automatically have a wireless thing in it, or do you know if you have to plug in
I
a thing?
am not a science doctor.
Okay.
I only order things and pay money. I don't research them. I just know it says it comes with an Xbox controller.
Well, I've played a couple games on my PC with an Xbox controller, and for that is I got a little adapter. It's just USB, you plug it in, and then you can connect a normal Xbox 360 controller to it wirelessly.
That would be nice. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it comes with an adapter and I just plug it in and they gave me a 360 controller. Yeah. In which case it'd be great. Do you need 4 adapters though? If you want to do 4 players?
No, it's basically just the signal thing.
Tricking your thing into thinking it's an Xbox?
I don't know. I mean, it's just it uses it to pair it like any other device, like, you know, if a wireless mouse or keyboard. Yeah. But instead of using Bluetooth, they use their own thing. So it's basically just a receiver for those inputs. Because like on the Xbox, there's technically only one of those receivers in the machine. Yeah. So,
well, we'll find out. Maybe it's a One controller. Who knows? I mean, because the system is essentially in pre-order mode. Yeah. Like the One is a viable option.
I know they have made adapters for now. You can use the One controller for games. I saw people playing like Evolve with that. So
I'm excited to test it out. Give it a spin.
What's going to be your first game, do you think?
Well, it depends on who gets their grimy mitts on the system first.
The grabbers?
Yeah. If it's me and I'm not working the day I get it, the first game I'll get will be NBA. I'll put another 8 hours into it. Maybe I'll stream it. Yeah. We'll find out.
It'll be a lot easier to stream in theory on the computer, right?
Yeah, should be. And I wouldn't really stream me playing NBA. That's a joke, listeners.
Yeah. If you want to watch us play for 6 hours, there's already that in the archives for our Twitch.
Yeah. If it's Caitlin, it'll be Sims 4.
But you're not going to play Sims 4.
I don't know. I mean, like, Sims doesn't interest me that much. Like, it interests me to the point of, like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Right.
But I don't know if I will definitely, when it comes to hours played, I might be at, like, the 5-hour mark when she's at, like, the 30-hour mark.
Okay. Because I was just thinking that because it's a brand new machine and you have all these options, it's not going to be the top of your list.
No, that's the top of her list.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think you're going to play it. Like, that's a game you might play here and there.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like, I got to play Sims 4.
Top of my list is NBA. And then, because my game plan is I want to try and avoid console games that I can get on a console.
Right.
So, like, I can get Shadows of Mordor for the 360. I will. I can get Alien Isolation for the 360. I will. Because that way I can get achievements, blah, blah, blah. Cycle of addiction, whatever you want to call it. And while it might like better on the PC, graphics aren't everything.
It's too bad you're getting into PC gaming now, because for years, you could get achievements for PC games.
Well, this has got Steam achievements.
Right, but that were tied into your Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
It was the games for Windows Live. You got achievements for everything.
That would have been awful. I'd have been like, I gotta download this game. I can get 6 achievements in it. It's only $1.
Yeah, you can play Fallout 3 again or something.
Yeah.
Or you can play Arkham Asylum on the PC, because I heard it's pretty good.
But I already got it. I got it for the...
Yeah, but you haven't played it yet.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not gonna go buy it again.
No, I
haven't
know.
played it.
Yeah, but just some of the ridiculous deals. Yeah. Sometimes it's like $2.
That's the thing is there's no... I checked today. And there's no, like, ridiculous deals... Well, and I know I gotta wait till like the Steam sale and stuff like that.
Right, they do like events. They're not like every week they have sales like other places.
Yeah. But like, so I was trying to like, from our last episode of talking to Caitlin and thinking of like adventure games, I'm just like, oh, I'll go get some like really good adventure games that I used to have or played a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they gotta be like $2. And like, they're still,
Well, sometimes 7, they are, 9. And sometimes they're not. It's kind of crazy how they price used games at this point.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just flip into desktop mode and illegally download the games. Who knows?
What?
Still on options. I'm definitely putting an emulator on there. I'm hoping I get...
that's not illegal, though.
Well, it is if you don't technically own the games that you're
The emulator is not illegal, but the games,
are.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hoping I can just do like an Xbox emulator. Like the original Xbox, and then just get a disc drive.
You have an Xbox emulator. It's called the 360.
It doesn't play all games. It's not everything's backwards compatible.
It's at this point. The last time I saw the list, it was like 95% of the way.
Yeah, but that's 5%, man.
What games do you have? Unless if they're like JRPGs that are region specific.
NFL Fever 2002.
Is that really not there?
It's not there.
I just recently sold my Dreamcast edition of that.
I was just thinking, for next year's marathon, I was like, if I can just get everything that we'd want to play, sans 360 on the PC, then it'd be miraculous. Have like, you want to swap into Super Mario Brothers 3 for the normal Nintendo, and I just pull that up and it's still streaming. Computer, great. Go all the way through and hit whatever Forza on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
And then I'd only have to like switch things over when we went to the 360 or 1 or 4 or whatever the hell the new system I get is.
It's not gonna be you.
Wii U.
Yeah.
Then it's only like one switch and it's at the end of the marathon. I'm thinking way too far ahead.
Well, no, we always have really grandiose plans, and then like the week of it, we don't do anything.
Yeah,
it just
happens. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I guess we're just playing Game Boy games.
Yeah.
I'll get a handy cam over your shoulder.
Right.
Watch you play Pokemon.
Just hold it the whole time.
Shaky.
Yeah. That would be awful. So speaking of last week, I think it might have been a mistake to point out that you had a wife. Like, we had a lot of female fans write in. They were super disappointed. We should have kept that a secret.
Yeah.
I mean, half of our popularity is because
they thought I was
you're such a heartthrob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody has your Tiger Beat posters on their wall. So, like a lot like they do with famous musicians sometimes.
Yeah,
they pretend they pretend they're single when they're not, just to get the fans.
They can still pretend. They can still pretend I'm single.
Well, you pretend you're single all the time, but that's just to pick up on other women.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should have said that.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you go and get your hair cut, and a lady just starts flirting with you.
Right?
You can't help that when you look this good.
That's true. Especially how good she made you after the haircut.
Yeah. Welcome to the episode.
Yeah.
What episode are we on? 15?
13.
I think last time I said 14.
You said 14 last time.
Yep.
This could be episode 15 if you want. We could just confuse everyone.
No, we'll do 13.
Like, what happened to those other episodes?
Lost episodes.
Yeah.
My name's Phil.
I'm Chris.
And you're listening to a podcast.
A podcast. You are currently listening to a podcast.
This is not one of your CD musics that you kids listen to.
Yep. One of those CD musics. People don't know what CDs are anymore.
I'm just going back into CDs. I don't get anything on the iTunes store.
No, I haven't bought anything on the iTunes store for a long time.
I go to Target.
Part of that is because I just download stuff illegally, but
well,
because I'm not buying like the popular stuff. I'll buy DJ mixes and things like that you download for free anyways.
You're not getting Taylor Swift's
new
Coke advertisement song.
Yeah.
You're getting DJ Cookie Sweats mixed with Busta Crimes. Yes,
Busta Crimes. He's the off-brand Busta Rhymes when they couldn't get the rights to Busta. Yeah, he started off as an impersonator, and then he just turned into his own thing.
Yeah, Busta Crimes is pretty good, though.
Yeah, he is pretty good. I mean, I saw him at the Cubby Bear once.
Yeah, he was just in front of the jukebox.
Yeah.
He was just hanging out. Rapping over the songs other people played.
He often plays for wings. Like, that's his payment. It's just hot wings.
I could go for some wings right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point. We have a podcast to record.
We do. I think we are recording it. Is that my job? Am I the one that's supposed to be recording this?
We are located in your car right now.
Yeah.
Driving down the highway, recording.
To go get some wings.
Yep. Because that's how fast we transition.
Yep. This is a live episode, by the way. So it could end at any moment.
Yeah, we could all be dead.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Anyways, so how do you think the last episode went? I'll probably cut this out, but
fine.
That's all we got.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good change of pace.
There was one question that she sort of talked about that I had on my list, but since I wasn't on that page, I forgot to ask about how there's there's two ways people react to things. One, when they get frustrated, do they quit or do they get obsessed with it?
Yeah.
But she said she quits if she gets super frustrated.
Yeah.
And we're on the other side of that spectrum.
Yes.
So it's interesting for you two to play games together, I think.
Well, that's why we go into what we play, and it's low
you have to
make
you have to make the decision ahead of time what games to play.
Yeah.
So that's not a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take turns passing the controller around for Peggle. Like, we got some time to kill, or we're cooking dinner or something like that, and that way I can get up or she can get up and we can do whatever, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And we'll just do the challenges. We're at the point where we're just kind of playing the tough challenges at this junction.
They get hard.
And so, she'll play it, 2 or 3 times, and she doesn't pass. So then she's just like, I'm going to go to quick play, and I'm just going to play a level and have fun.
Uh-huh.
I play it 2 or 3 times. I don't pass. I let the food burn on the stove
while you play another 25 times.
25 times and perfect my off-the-wall bounces.
Something happened like that this week when I was playing Master Chief Collection, and I had something in the oven, and I had a timer, and my timer went off, and I stopped the timer going off, and then 10 minutes later I was like, uh-oh, I forgot that I had stuff in the oven.
Uh-oh, and that's why we're recording from your car.
Yeah.
Because your house burned down.
Exactly.
Shouldn't have cooked those pizza rolls that long.
No.
They explode. They real quick.
Not a lot of people know that, but they do explode if you have them in there for too long.
Actually, pizza rolls, flammable.
Yep.
A lot of that inside, it's gasoline.
Yep. Yep. A little bit of dynamite.
Yeah. Gasoline, gunpowder, and a little bit of pepperoni is how they make those.
That's what pepperoni's made out of. It's inedible ingredients mashed together long enough. Going back to last week when we were talking about Evolve, it's not a Valve game.
Okay.
So Turtle Rock is the developer, which did Left 4 Dead, but the publisher is not Valve. It's 2K.
Okay. So I'm glad that it's not Valve because I feel like Valve would be better. So if Evolve doesn't have a story, I won't blame them.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time...
You wish it was Valve because then the game would be better and it would have a story.
Yes, is what I'm saying. But at the same time, 2K and Turtle Rock should know better. Like, 2K is not just the small, middling...
No, but they also... With their sports games and stuff, I think that's kind of how they're treating this.
NBA has a story.
No, I know it has a story. I just meant it's okay, it's one match, basically. It's all centered around one basic match.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they can build a story from that. And I think it's also because of, free games and mobile games and all this other stuff where they feel like you can just give somebody one experience.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the way trends are now going to start continuing because with all this stuff. I mean, you look at Titanfall was...
Yeah.
I mean, the same... Titanfall kind of started it, I guess, for consoles. Besides, your arcade games and Warface and stuff like that.
It was the first, AAA title.
Yeah, Titanfall did it, and now I think they were relatively successful, and...
Yeah, I mean, sales-wise, for sure.
And it's obviously, since then, Evolve will come out, and it probably won't have a story, and it'll do fine, and whether or not you want to believe Destiny used to have a story, but I would say that's...
Yeah, but that wasn't a multiplayer only game or something like that. That had so much. Even if it didn't have one thing that was huge, it had 7 things that were medium. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's fine.
I wouldn't exactly put it in that camp, but maybe just some racing games are just one thing.
Yeah, racing games have always just been one thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you just drive a race and then you go to the next one.
Yeah.
You don't get out of the car and
but I think
go to the townspeople and be like, "How did you like my racing?"
Yeah, that'd be great. If you just walked around and had dialogue with people, what do you think about racing?
And they're just I don't know. I was inside cooking dinner. I didn't see you drive by my house at 110 miles an hour.
Or you have one of those bumpers that are how am I driving? And then call this number, and then every day you go and listen to your voicemails and see how people commented on how you were driving.
I would actually like it if you have the race and it's in, whatever. It's not an actual scheduled racetrack. It's through the streets or whatever like that. And any damage you do to property after the race, you have to go door to door and make amends.
Yeah.
Depending on how much property.
The money you win from the races, you have to go to pay for all the damage you've done.
But you have to do it first person, and it's dialogue trees. And maybe you just destroyed a shrubbery, and the people are okay, but maybe you hit their kid.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're just no amount of money will pay for this, and then it goes into a fist fight. Right. But it's a really terrible fist fight. It's a Kinect fist fight.
But it starts because you go to their funeral. You don't say that it was you that did it. You go to the funeral, you see the kid, you feel bad.
In between race section.
Right. And then you start doing things around the house for the family. Yep. There's mini games where you replant the shrubberies and stuff.
It turns into Cooking Mama.
And then you have to you have to make the decision then when you tell the family that you were the one that hit their kid.
That would be the best game.
Well, that was a perfect transition into racing games, so I'm just going to use that opportunity to talk about... I played the Crew beta.
Okay.
So the Crew is a Ubisoft racing game. It's a new property. And it's kind of, from what I could tell, it's sort of like every other racing game. It's elements of every other racing game. So it's like Need for Speed because there's cops. Cops are involved. Then it's a little bit like Burnout because there's crashes that go into slow motion. And then it's a little bit like Forza because it uses real cars. And I think that's the one that uses real cars for the most part.
Yeah, Forza, Gran Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo also.
Yeah.
But Gran Turismo is more the fancier cars, I think.
Well... Gran Turismo used to be the premier racing game where it just had everything. Where you can just be I want to drive a Honda Civic. What game's going to have a Honda Civic? And it'd be we got it.
Yeah.
And then Forza kind of initially started off as only the fancy cars, and now I think it's kind of trying to level that, where now it's just do you want to drive a Ford Taurus?
Right. Well, these are the choices for your first car when you pick a car in the garage. You got a 2010 Chevrolet Camaro SS. That's not a bad car.
Yep.
Then you got a 2011 Ford Mustang, 2012 Dodge Challenger SRT. It gives all the model. It's the exact car, and it's normal colors that you would see on the street. They're not fancy. And then there's a Nissan, 2013 Nissan 370Z, I think, 370Z.
all that
So
means nothing to me. Car
I know
talk.
exactly. So you get these basic cars, and there's different ways to do it. I've only been playing the beta in just a little bit.
Yeah.
But after doing a couple things, you're like, oh, you get to choose a car. You choose one of those cars, and then from there, there's kind of like skill trees for different ways to customize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to get force push.
No, yeah. So there's a lot of customization, and it's like, okay, I want to be able to do off-roading stuff. So there's that skill tree, and then you can customize. You can put like huge wheels on it, or like big suspensions, or like a guard in the front to like run things over.
Yeah.
Or you can do like, oh, I want to be like a speedster. I want to put like a spoiler on it and upgrade the engine. But it's like you can change everything. You can change like the interior. You can change the seats. You can change the spark plugs. Like every little thing.
Yeah.
You can change and upgrade. And it's nice because it's not like, oh, you have to choose one path for each car. It's you can outfit a car 5 different ways if you want to and just switch between them.
It's like presets.
Yeah, like you could sort of create...
Like, this is my off-road loadout.
Right.
This is my drag racing loadout.
Yeah. You don't have to be like, oh, I have this car. I have to make my Nissan into a sports racer, and then I have to make my Dodge into... a dune buggy sort of thing. You can switch between. It's not like like I said, nothing's set in stone. You can always swap out gear. But there's a lot of story, like just in the beta even. So it's very story heavy so far. Like it starts off great. So the first mission, it just throws you in. You're in a pickup truck, going through the fields of the Midwest somewhere, and there's like 24 cops chasing you. Like it like throws you in the middle of this scene. And from there, there's like a lot of action too. But then there's a lot of cutscenes. There's a lot of characters. It's basically the story of like Fast and Furious. It's like if Fast and Furious was a game minus The Rock.
I imagine there is a Fast and Furious game. It's an arcade racer.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
No, but it's like okay.
Yeah, it's a story
like
of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, you guys have this thing. They're like motor vehicle clubs, which are basically motorcycle clubs, but for cars for some reason.
Yeah,
and. You're not really part of it. You're kind of part of it. You're a really good racer, and your brother's like the head of it. But
Sure.
he gets in with like shady dealings with like drug dealers or something, and something happens with him, and then basically you have to team up with the FBI. You basically get caught, and you have to then basically work for them. So like you're a good guy, but you're doing bad things, and you got to like beat straight you have to like you're trying to infiltrate this crew basically, so you have to like do the straight races. You have to like pick up people from like drug dealers. Like you get phone calls all the time, and they're like, oh my god, like come and save me. So you go, and there's like all this shooting, and the guy gets in your car, and then you have to like run away while they chase you, and then the cops show up and all this other stuff.
I can't imagine you can get out of your car.
No, you can't physically get out of your car like a Grand Theft Auto or one of those games, but
and you probably can't shoot from your car.
No, you can't shoot or anything. Like so you are just a driver. You are a driver.
Okay. But I just think it's funny. Like a mission's like, come save me from all this gunfire, and really you just pull up and the guy gets in, and then you drive away, and there's no like, you don't get to fire back. You don't get to.
No, but it's like there's still a lot of tension. Like you're racing through the streets or whatever, and there's cars chasing you. It's not like you're just going away from something and like that's
like
it.
Checkpoint.
Right. It's not like a GPS simulator game where it's just like, yeah, turn left, 400 feet.
Home.
And like I said, cops show up. There's dynamic things within the levels too, like during the races. Like sometimes there'll be trains that'll go by, like, and you'll have to time it right. So kind of like Mario Kart, but even more fun. And there's
whoa. More fun than Mario Kart?
The train parts, because if you get hit, you don't just go like wow 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 and like flip over and then keep going. It's like it's slow motion crashes and explodes,
everyone dies,
and then you're really far behind.
Okay.
Well,
if you got hit by a
and
train
there's like
Mario Kart,
there's like there's big
behind.
trucks sometimes you have to avoid, or like there was like this warehouse we were going through, and there was like cranes moving around and doing stuff. So there's sort of dynamic elements. But one other cool thing is there's like pedestrians throughout the streets. There's not that much of them. But there are, like, I haven't played a racing game really other than, like, a GTA, which I wouldn't consider a racing game, or Saints Row, where there's pedestrians around that you can hit and they react to things. Or, like, you can, like, if you, like, run through a cafe, which is, like, always a thing they have in racing games, is, like, just a bunch of tables with umbrellas and stuff, and you can just knock them all down. There's people there, and they react, and they move out of the way, and they scream, and all this other stuff, which I haven't really seen in, like, a quote-unquote serious racing game, which is kind of fun to see.
So you can actually hit them?
Yeah, you can actually hit them.
Okay, because I'd say, like, I've played racing games where they're just kind of, like, they're there, and then when you get close, like, they just
I mean,
kind of
they
jump
attempt
up.
to move and everything, so it's not like you're just gonna mow people down
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you are in
yeah,
like
yeah.
Saints Row, but
But yeah, at the same, like, I mean, because most of the time you get to a point, like, I remember playing, I think, Driver, which would, there'd be, like, a pedestrian, but all of a sudden, like, you'd go to hit him, and then it just, like, your car would go through the pedestrian. Because
Yeah.
they're like, we're not promoting you running over people.
but it's certainly not something you're supposed to do. But it's
Well,
they're
no.
trying to make it semi-realistic, I think, and that was kind of fun to see. Like people like, wow, like what the hell are you doing? Things like that. It's kind of fun. So everything's kind of seamless too. So the basic overall function of the game, other than the story, I heard there's like a 35-hour story, and for a racing game, that's super long. Considering there's like side
Might
missions,
be
other
too
things you
long.
can do. Yeah, but so it's the world that you can go around is a map of the U.S. You can actual roads connect everything. There's no load times. There's no doesn't just throw you in a race.
Sure.
So you drive everywhere you need to go across the country. Obviously, it's not.
I was going to
To
say,
scale.
Is it to scale? Like, if I drive from, like, oh, crap, I have a race in California, and I'm in Maine,
Right.
is it going to take me, like, it's like 15 hours just
No.
to get there?
And if you want to, you can fast travel. At least you could in the beta.
Okay.
But I mean, I wish I could show you a picture of this thing. But for some reason, the map of the U.S. is like so messed up, and I think it's so they basically made roads and races and then connected the things. So it looks like a 1700s like map of the new colonies.
There's only 5 cities.
Dallas is directly due south of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like that's how like messed up everything is. Florida kind of jets out to the right more than going straight down. Basically the whole middle of the country is like huge, and the parts that you actually race in are smaller. It doesn't really quite make sense. It's kind of funny to look at, but it is kind of fun to be like, okay, I'm in Detroit. I got to drive to Chicago to do a job or something. It just takes a couple minutes, and there's it's interesting
Things to do
scenery.
along
Things
the way.
change, and like there's a day and night cycle, and there's things you can see. There's also little like skill missions you can do along the way, which basically you just drive through a gate, and then it starts something like, oh, do this jump, or oh, weave through this traffic, things like that you can do as you're getting from one place to the other. That doesn't stop the action at all. It just pops up. Like, do you want to do this? Hit A. Like you never stop driving. There's no load screens. There's no transitions. Same thing like when there's people around. You can click on the thumbstick and have a little map come up on the bottom. Show all the people that are around you what their level are. Ask if you want to be in your crew. Also, they can send you messages. So the idea is that you can sort of group up with people. I think 4 is the limit. I'm not sure. I only did it once or twice with 2 other people.
Yeah.
And you can do story missions or side missions. And I think the cutscenes implied that
There's more people around?
well, not just that. So yeah, you do see people that populate the world. One, when you look at the map, which is really cool, you can see their little driving icons, like what their thing is driving around, and it's cool when you see packs and stuff, and you can just drive by them. You see them doing stuff. That's fun. But the cutscenes indicated that you were gonna be doing like heists and stuff with your cars, like a Fast and Furious movie. Like they show like 5 cars pinning in like an armored truck and making it flip over. Things like that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so I think that's what the whole idea of this crew and this sort of like bad dealings, and like you get cool fancy cars, you do things, you help drug dealers. You're trying to get in with this guy that's the head of it. So it's funny too because they call each position in the club is like based on like V. So V8 is the king because that's like the most you can have.
Yeah.
As far as engines go, it's like V6 is like the vice president and all this other stuff. So there's little funny things like that I laugh at. Them trying to be cool and trying to be like a motorcycle club.
V8 guys.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to be the V8. It's like are you talking about like vegetable juice? Like what?
I'm trying to drink more
when
V8, guys.
Because they first threw it out there like, oh, this is the term everybody knows.
And it is. You're the only weird one who hasn't heard of it.
But I will say it is a lot of fun. I was not planning on getting it. I haven't really been into racing games for a while. The last racing franchise I was a part of was like Burnout.
Yeah.
I think Burnout Paradise was the last game that I got, and I didn't play it that much, not because it wasn't good, but I just got distracted with other games and haven't bought a racing game since then. I just went into this beta so I'd have something to talk about, basically. I was like, I want to try to get new interesting things to talk about.
Sure.
And since not a lot of people are playing this right now, and I really think it won me over. Like playing it was a lot of fun. The music was great, the tone was great, the driving was a lot of fun.
Well, I think what sounds good and what always has kind of scared me off of racing games is I get really into them for like a week, but then I just get sick of just doing race to race to race.
Yeah.
So this is a racing game that actually offers, I guess, more than that. Like, A, story, and B, like, things that aren't just like, race around this track
as
3
fast
times.
As you can, perfectly. Yeah,
as fast as possible and don't let the computer pass you.
Yeah.
Then, it'll hold more interest in terms of like, yeah, it's just a racing game, but at the same time, I'm accomplishing something as opposed to just like, yay, another gold, and here's $50,000 so I can buy a new car.
And that was another thing too. Like, I was only planning on playing for maybe an hour, and because the story was so intensive, and because there was like a clear linear path that you could take, even though they're like, oh, here's some side missions, here are the things that open up, but it was like, hey, go over here, do that, or the fact that you like get phone calls while you're doing stuff makes it seem like, oh, I'm supposed to do this right now. You don't have to. It's not like it's going to expire. I mean, some of them might. I don't know. I haven't played that much. Yeah. But you always feel like you have something important to do. So I ended up playing for maybe 3 or 4 hours in the first sitting when I wasn't planning to at all.
Yeah.
So it was fun. I don't know. I like it. I'm going to play it more. I don't know if it's still going on. If it is, I'm going to try to play some more. And it comes out next month, I believe.
Might be get a demo or a rental or something like that, and see if it still holds your sway after.
Yeah, well, it's so close to coming out. It's not like major changes.
Not a lot of things are going to happen. But it's more of just like when it comes out, what else are you going to be involved in? Because obviously we're hitting the holiday game, jamboree.
Yep.
So it's like, the club might be great, but if it gets released along, 3 other games that you want.
Yeah. Is
it really going to be top dollar for $60, or are you going to pick it up, 3 months from now when it's $45?
Yeah. I definitely think that this is a game that I know I would have fun playing. So hopefully I end up buying it. Like, say what you will about the Fast and Furious movies, and they are pretty stupid, but they are sometimes fun to watch, especially the most recent ones. They're just so over the top, crazy, ridiculous that you can't help but laugh while watching it in a good way.
I can say that I've never watched one, and I have no intention of watching one.
I understand that from a perspective of never seen one before.
Yeah.
But they're like stupid fun in a good way.
I mean, I'll put it on my list of number 500 of movies to see, and so if I get through the other 499,
yeah, okay,
I'll start with.
I'm not here to like promote Fast and Furious,
I don't know. That's what sounds like you're doing, Vin Diesel.
I'm just it's fun. It's fun. It feels like you're playing a movie, like an action movie. You feel like you're doing something important and cool, but without taking itself too seriously or without being too comical. So I feel like it's a good, happy medium, and because it brings in elements of every other franchise, I feel like it's gonna work. The music was really great for the crew too. Like, it was like good, like 80s and 90s music, and I feel like they changed the levels of it a little bit, so it was more the just the instruments, less vocals, which is kind of cool.
Do they have Africa by Toto?
I hope so. I don't know. I haven't played enough. And you can change your radio stations, or you can do custom playlists and stuff. So how about some news?
News me
up.
I'm
gonna news you.
Yeah.
I always feel like the news segments are so one-sided, but as long as you respond to things, I guess it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, just don't give me dumb news topics.
Okay. Did you see that the head writer of Halo 4 is now the writer of Mass Effect 4? That's the worst news I've heard in a while.
We can talk about this after I get this off my chest.
Okay.
There are no Mass Effects after 3. Whatever they want to call them, they're not Mass Effects. Because that series is over. Now they're just going to milk the franchise in the world. And I understand that it's a huge galaxy, and they can take any story they want and they can tie it back into the main storyline, and maybe you're not playing as Shepard anymore. Maybe you're just playing as some guy, and this is what happens. Maybe you make it, Halo ODST or whatever the one is where you're not Master Chief.
Yeah.
But the original writers are gone, and now you are just going to milk a franchise.
I agree with you that anything other than the original trilogy is going to be something else.
Yeah.
I'm fine with them calling it Mass Effect, but not Mass Effect 4, which that's not official yet, so I don't know. Yeah. But I agree with you that I'm fine with them putting the name Mass Effect on it because it's a franchise and they're trying to sell their game.
Yeah.
And they're gonna use Krogans and
they're gonna use the universe. They're gonna use the same universe. So
I'm fine with them calling it like Mass Effect Inquisition or whatever they want to call it. But yeah, don't put a number on it.
Don't tie it to the original trilogy when it's not gonna have anything to do with the original.
I think
trilogy.
They're gonna maybe wink to it, but hopefully they won't try to make it a part of the actual.
I think the only thing I've seen is that it's gonna be set during the same time period.
Really?
This is of course a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
once again, if they just hired this writer, who knows how far they're actually along in the story?
Exactly, but I think they were gonna tie to the original period, and Commander Shepard's dealings were gonna be like nodded to in quote unquote real time as to what you're doing. You wouldn't be playing as that team. Who's going up against the Reapers, you're playing as whatever. I don't know the story of who you're playing as, but that is happening at the same time.
I feel like that's lazy, because then there can be like...
welcome to EA's game
I know,
making.
but it's like... Yeah, but BioWare's not necessarily like that.
But all the writers of Mass Effect left BioWare to form their own team.
Well, that's what's happening now. Like we've sort of talked about this before, but just everybody leaves every company, so company names really don't mean anything anymore, except for... the publishers. The publishers mean something, but the developers, everybody's jumping around and switch jobs because people don't keep them around when they're not actually making a game, so they have to hop to another job. Anyways, I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, I think it's lazy because it's like, okay, we can use basically the same overarching story, the same enemies, the same worlds, the same whatever, rather than having to come up with a whole new story. Yeah. That's stupid.
I mean, I agree with you. I think that's very stupid, but I think because so many people clamored that like they didn't want their Mass Effect to end, like the whole issue with the ending.
Yeah.
I feel like they still want to take place in that world in that time.
Because they're afraid to take any risk now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like the internet won by forcing them to change the original thought of what the ending should be. So now they're going to be like, well, the internet's not going to want us to do 40,000 years in the future and have new enemies and new races and new people and all that stuff. They want people that you can, you're not controlling them, but the names mean something. They want to get, a news article from Jessica Chobot's character that's talking about what Commander Shepard's doing while they're, clearing out a Arachnite den, you know. That's my interpretation of what's going to happen. Yeah. And it's also going to be a crazy amount of multiplayer.
That I'm very upset that we've talked about this before, but they bent to the internet's will and changed the ending. That was a really bad precedent, and I feel like they've sort of continued that on since that happened, where they're really into like fan service. They're afraid of the internet and afraid of the critical community. Yeah. So they're like, okay, let's just do what they're going to like, which means they're probably going to give us something that we don't like. Yeah. Because it's...
They're so afraid
not
of
just more of the same.
Well, that's what
it
is.
But not like more of the same in a bad way. Not like, oh, they took all the elements that we liked and used that as a sort of structure for a new game. They're like, oh, we're physically taking levels and like basically beat for beat, and we're going to put this in something else. Like, that's not cool.
I mean, we'll see. And also, I mean, just even going back to what started this, the Halo 4 writer, it's like Halo 4 had the weakest story of all the Halos. Yeah. And obviously I'm sure there's people who disagree with us. And they're like, Halo 4? What? That was the best one. But at the same time, like, in our opinion, and of course it's all we can say, is like, you're taking the weakest person from the Halo series, or the weakest writer from the Halo series, and now you're penning it to a series that we actually kind of give the nod to, like, good writing. Yeah. And you're like, hey, make a new game. And it's going to be like, Protheans? It seems like going to be Forerunners? And
it seems like he is the writer they bring in for the fourth game after the same people have written the first three games. Like, one guy wrote all the Halo games. Right. So it's like, okay, we have a sci-fi game with aliens and you're a space marine. Yeah. And we need you to come in and fix this. But I don't know. Hopefully it'll turn out okay. I want it to, but I'm so far in the wait and see camp that they're gonna have to win me over.
My excitement for this game right now, and I'm not even done playing 3, but my excitement for this game right now is a 1 out of 10. Like, besides name, nothing. Because like 1 and 2 were so much more my speed, and then 3, like we've discussed before, like they start reducing all the things that I like and just make it a shooter.
Yeah.
Like I have a feeling 4 is just going to continue that trend where it's just like, let's get rid of your leveling up system altogether, and let's just give you a bunch of different guns, and then let's give you some multiplayer maps, and call it a day.
That's another thing too. All this news came out about Mass Effect because like November 7th was N7, and it's Mass Effect Day or whatever. So they also talked about doing a Mass Effect trilogy remake.
Yep.
And the ways they would do it, he said the only way he would want to do it, that the head of the studio, would be to uniform all the games, put them all together basically. And he said one thing which I agree with, he says, is to put the DLC in there as if it was original story content, which means he would put it in the game chronologically. You would get the missions when you were supposed to, and it would be more cohesive.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I agree with that. Another thing he said was that he would want to use like the same engine across all of them.
Again, that makes sense.
It makes sense, especially if you're actually going to remake it. Yes, do that. The thing he said that was controversial, which is why he's saying that they're not really doing it, is because he would want the same character and combat in all of the games. And he says that he wanted to do it where the first 2 games would have the combat of the third game, because it's the newest one and the most
streamlined. Yeah,
it's the most evolved combat. There's a lot of shooting, all that stuff. But he says a lot of people think the Mass Effect combat was the best. So that's the thing. He's never going to please anybody, and that's why they haven't done it yet, because he's like, I don't know how to do it. I want to do it only if it's one piece, basically. If it's like, instead of 3 games, it's like one super long game. It's one long story, same engine, all the DLCs in there, same combat. I don't want it to feel like 3 separate games. So that's when it becomes difficult. If you're going to make it like one game, make it like Mass Effect 2. Make both 1 and 3 like 2. But I don't think they're able to do that.
No, and I think, again, he'd lean towards 3, and I understand, like, graphically you want the most updated stuff, and engine-wise and combat-wise.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, but the problem is, like, it's night and day. 1 to 3 fighting styles. Just like 1 is like, here's all your skills, use them wisely.
Yeah,
like,
and there's a lot of movement, a lot of dodging, a lot of shooting.
Shepard can't like stay up in a fight. He's not like just a straight shooter. It's just like take cover, use your powers, get advantage, use flanking, blah 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 blah.
And like you 3, don't have that much ammo.
Yeah, and 3 is just like there's ammo all over the floor. Run into guys, punch them at will.
Yeah, it's a cover-based shooter, and like I said, because the movement's been improved, because you can have all the weapons, all the powers, and the melee. The melee was a cool thing they added, but it also sort of made you super overpowered.
Yeah, overpowered. Like if there's a guy with full health that's even near me, I just immediately go to I'm just gonna charge him and just beat the crap out of him, because I can kill him a lot quicker than if I get behind cover and try and shoot him slowly.
Right, and if you're behind cover and somebody walks up to the wall you're hiding behind, you can just grab him and 1 kill him that way.
Yeah.
So, which is cool animation, but overpowered.
Yeah. Again, I mean, like, I think we're in agreement that pick either 2, because I think it's the middle ground, which would be great.
And I think almost everybody agrees that's the best one. I would hope.
Well, I would say top to bottom, 2's the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's elements of, obviously, all of them that are superb. Like, I think,
for sure. But I think, 2 is my favorite.
Yeah.
So
I will agree. I mean, I think 2 had, obviously, like I said, had the most depth. It had a good balance of combat and RPG elements. It had, obviously, the story was much more fleshed out and the characters were much better.
I think it was the best story.
So yeah, go 2 if you can, but if you're going to go 3 and you're going to cut down all the good things about 1 and 2 and just try and cookie cutter it in, then it's just like, okay, if I want a third-person shooter, I'll get a different game.
Yeah.
But, again, my stance on remakes is usually pretty iffy at that.
Yeah, but if they spend this much time and effort and make it like a true remake, remastered game, I'm into that. It's not like they're like, okay, we're just going to give you the same games now. You can buy them again.
I will say...
new resolution.
Going back to what you said, like he wants it to all be like one straight story.
So it's going to be like a 400-hour game.
1 into 2... works. 2 into 3 doesn't, because 2, the last mission you're supposed to go on is a DLC where you get arrested, and essentially sequestered away, so the Batarians don't want to kill you. And there's supposed to be some huge time lapse between 2 and 3.
I don't think he meant specifically like it has to be like.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like if you do, then you'd have to do like 5 years later.
I just didn't think he didn't want it to feel like actual 3 separate entities, like because I mean just looking at the menus to the character designs and all that stuff changed a lot from 1 to 3.
I'm sure he didn't mean specifics. I'm just thinking now specifics in my head. I'm just like, okay, 1 and 2 they're essentially like right after each other. 2 and 3, there's some time difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit more news. So I guess the Xbox One is got 10 million sales to stores. So that it means they haven't sold 10 million yet.
That's just fair.
But they have been on the top of the charts for the new consoles since they lowered the price, which makes sense. So it's by far the cheapest now.
Yeah.
And even like Best Buy has the trade-in policy also, and they're giving you $150 for 360 or the PS3, which is crazy. Like you can get the bundle, so you can get like a brand new Xbox One with 2 games if you get the Assassin's Creed bundle, or like Sunset Overdrive or Halo or Call of Duty for $200, which is crazy.
It's interesting from a business aspect. Because
I'm sure they're losing money on it.
That's the thing is like I know that they need to make up ground.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like PlayStation before they lowered the price, PlayStation was outselling them, and I know they want to get back on a level playing field.
Yeah.
The question is, how long do you let this promotion go for? Because you can't let it go forever, because then you are going to be turning negative profits for the Xbox One until the day it dies.
I will say this though, a couple things. One is I think it was originally planned to just be through this holiday season, so we'll see if that lasts or not.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's successful, they'll probably decide. But also, the price of making the consoles will go down for them.
Yeah. Once it's more streamlined,
every 6 to 8 months,
and you always make more money based on actual like software sales.
Yeah.
Than you do on hardware. I mean, because Nintendo's done that forever, where they take a loss on their console, but then they make up for it in selling games and controllers and peripherals and all sorts of good stuff. So, like, I'm not worried like Microsoft's going to go bankrupt. I'm just saying, you don't want your console to constantly be $200, where you're essentially losing out, because it's never going to get streamlined to the. It's never going to go that low. Like the console making, is never going to get down to a point where it matches that and you're breaking even.
Yeah.
Like maybe it goes from like right now it costs. I'm just spitballing. Right now it costs $400 to make the console, and so you're taking a $200 hit, and then eventually it gets down to like you can make it for $300, and then take $100, and then maybe you can make it down to like $250. But it's never going to be like all the way at the bottom.
Yeah. And then also I guess Assassin's Creed Unity came out this week, and it's just
here's a mess.
It's just a huge mess. Have you seen some of the screenshots of glitches and stuff, or like?
Yeah.
So there's glitches, character glitches, where I just saw like one where it was like a mess of hair and then 2 floating eyeballs and like teeth with gums, like not even a real face. And like your character falls through the map and you can't party up for multiplayer. Like the whole thing it's Assassin's Creed Unity, and it's all about like co-op more or less.
Yeah, you and a bunch of assassins work together to take down targets.
But if you try to join somebody else's game, it hard crashes the game, and you get kicked out, and you don't have like there's problems with like save progress doesn't save, or you don't get achievements for things. It's just a huge buggy mess. Plus, I hear it's the worst story of so far.
Oh yeah,
which is hard to say after maybe 3, I guess or one of the Brotherhood or one of those was bad.
Yeah, there's like 2. There's like the Final Fantasy, like 2A and 2B. There's Brotherhood, and then there was another one that was another like spin-off.
Yeah.
And then there's 3, which everyone hates, which I haven't played.
I still have it, but I haven't played it.
And then there's obviously 4, Black Flag, where people were like,
they're
getting
return
back
to
on
form.
it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that Unity's breaking, because I liked the Assassin's Creed series.
Yeah.
I liked 1, liked 2. I know I'm going to like 4 because it's pirates.
Yeah.
I don't even need to play it to know that I'll like it. 3, I mean, maybe it'll suck, but maybe not. maybe I won't hate it as much as everyone else.
Right.
But like, I don't want it, and it already has been. I don't want games being annual releases.
Right.
Take your time, make a quality game, and release it every 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't just pump something out and make it a flagship thing where it's just like, no. An Assassin's Creed, a Call of Duty.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Call of Duty and Madden has ruined just game releases in general because a company can't survive waiting 2 or 3 years to come out with a game.
No.
Even if they make $100 million, that's nowhere close to what Call of Duty makes, and they come out with one every single year.
But then, like, and I know companies don't want to hear this because they're definitely listening to the podcast.
Of course.
Is that maybe you don't have to spend that much money to make a game.
Yeah.
We also, and this is just my soapbox,
Yeah.
I would also love this trend of spending $200 billion to make a game go down. Like, not every game has to get, like, your top actors and it needs to look better than real life. Like, you can get, like, graphics are great, but they're also not everything.
Yeah.
And it's the same, like, I don't need
But nowadays
Kevin
they
Spacey
are, is the
in
problem.
games.
Nowadays people focus on that. Like, every gaming website, all they do is compare
graphically,
what they look like. But that's the thing, like, they make it an issue. Like, the media makes it an issue. And because that's an easy thing to just show visually, obviously, it's like, okay, this is how I can compare things. Oh, this looks awesome. So...
Oh, no, I totally understand. It's from top to bottom.
I
it's not
agree.
Just games, it's media, it's
I agree
consumers.
with you that graphics aren't everything, but the last 2 or 3 years, graphics are everything right now.
Well, yeah, especially at the start of a console, you need to show off, this is what this can do that no one else can.
This is why you should spend
X this is why you need to upgrade, because Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 can't do what we're doing. Because if everything looks level playing field, they'd be like, I'm
not going to spend money on it.
I don't need to do that. So I understand that need, and PC gaming, has always been like...
Because of hardware and stuff.
Because hardware is just like, you upgrade your PC a billion times, you want something to show it off. That's what the whole Crisis games were for. It's like, I can actually run it on ultra settings, which means I spent $10 billion on my computer.
And then it crashes like 10 days later.
Yeah. But it's just like, I also think the thing is just the reason indie games have become so big, especially like recently, I'd say, and why like now, Microsoft and Sony are kind of like pandering to these, is because like they're making games like 3-people teams.
Yeah.
And they're probably making it for, $2,000 to make a game, and they only need to sell 50 copies to turn a profit, and all of a sudden they're, the highest selling per capita for a game.
Well, yeah, because I mean the profit margin on those games are huge percentage wise because they cost nothing to make. But also, I feel like because of that, the last couple of years there's kind of been oversaturation of indie games. Like, you don't know what's good and what's not.
Oh no, I agree.
Before, if an indie game was released on a console, you're like, oh, it's probably pretty good then.
Yeah.
Now they just release everything, which is good but bad. But
that's the same with AAA games.
Oh, for sure. But I think they need to find that like middle ground. Not a AAA game, not an indie game.
Well, we lost the mid-tier games.
I know, but that's what we need right now. We need somebody that's not going to spend that much money on just being a huge game, but spending money on gameplay, like do something interesting gameplay mechanic wise, and story. Like, story was always an important part of those mid-tier games.
Yeah,
and because they didn't have the graphics and stuff.
It's just not profitable, and that's the problem though. It's just like, you look at, well, for a company's perspective, you look at
I
games
agree. I'm
like,
just upset about it.
When Tomb Raider came out before they did the redo, and Hitman, the Absolution, like those two games, I was just like, they were moderately successful, but because they cost so much money to make, that that company was in danger of like losing franchises and going bankrupt because they didn't sell. They needed to sell like 200 million units
and they
per
only
game.
sold like 5 million.
Yeah, and they sold 5 to 10 million.
Yeah.
They're just like, you can't have a game. Like, I feel like now the only companies that can really do that is, as sadly it is, Call of Duty, is going to sell 1 billion. Man's going to sell 1 billion. Yeah. You can't make a game where you're just like, we need to sell 200 million units to make this even remotely profitable.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing about, same with movies, is half of the whole budget is marketing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you got to people to know about your game to make money, but when you're spending $100 million on marketing,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Especially games like Call of Duty. You don't really need to market anymore.
You can have a one-page ad in a newspaper that no one reads, and it costs you $40, and
that's the thing. If it's November, that means that
Call of Duty is
coming out. And if for whatever reason, it's like every news outlet always does stories about it now too. So you really don't need, like, word of mouth alone would get the word out there.
Yeah.
I know they're not going to do that.
Out?
Right.
Yeah, okay, I'll go get it because I'm an idiot and I want to spend $60 on the game I played
every
before.
time I watch a football game, I don't need to see 6 Call of Duty ads because people that are watching football probably know Call of Duty exists.
Yeah.
Like, if they want to buy the game, they already know it exists.
They already have it, too.
Yeah.
They have it before it's out.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Games.
So, that's another thing, too. I think this might be the same people that made Assassin's Creed 3. Obviously, it's all Ubisoft and it's under the same umbrella, but because they've annualized it, they do have obviously different teams have to work on it because I think it does take them 2 years to make a game.
Yeah.
So these might be the gents that made Assassin's Creed 3, and the main problem wasn't just a story; it was that it was super glitchy.
Yes.
And there was parts of the game that were unpassable because of glitches.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heard that's the same thing with this game. Is like it's super glitchy, and I think the problem is too. Money's a part of it, but I think the way that it's so easy now for them to update the game post-release, that they get super ambitious with what they want to do.
Can't get it done in time.
They don't polish it. They don't make it a full, complete game when they release it. They're like, we'll fix it with patches, and we'll fix it with server updates later down the line.
Also a great trend that I'd like to...
But it's been happening a lot lately.
Oh, I know. Like this, it's never going to go back to the way that me and you want it.
Yeah,
it's just it's impossible unless literally everyone stops buying.
If the internet stops existing.
If the internet stops existing, and like it's as opposed to selling 2 million, they sell literally 5 copies.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a game just bombs so hard that it actually does like cause the ground to shake.
Yeah.
Like it's never going to go back to the way we dream it being.
Right.
But
I can't believe we're already like old men in this situation.
Oh yeah, I've been an old man. I was an old man when like NBA Jam came out, and I'm just like,
I know, but
I remember when Scottie Pippen was in this.
No, but I mean, like being in our late 20s, we're like at the tail end of this whole like.
We're still what
hobby.
Games are geared towards too.
Yeah,
like we're still in that like audience where they're just like we're targeting guys 18 to 35.
Yeah. But it's like, I remember when every game didn't have a jetpack.
Yeah.
Because honestly, every game has a jetpack now.
You need a reason to fly.
Yeah. Which reminded me of something I didn't write down. But so, footage of the Halo 5 beta has come out. I don't know if you've seen it at all. So they've made some changes to it. To the Halo. Well, that's the thing. I mean, Halo's had jetpacks since Reach. So the last 3 games have had jetpacks anyways. But they're trying to go to a level playing field, which I agree with. That's what makes Halo fun and great, is like an arena-based shooter where it's all like everybody starts the same. There's power weapons around the map. You got to learn the map and when the power weapons come out and how to use them. So they gotten rid of armor abilities also.
Good.
Last couple of games have had armor abilities, which has really made it uneven as well between loadouts and armor abilities. So everybody has unlimited sprint now, which is like, you're like, well then people are just going to run around. That's kind of stupid. But your shields don't regenerate when you're sprinting.
Okay.
So you have to make the decision. You can't just run forever. If you're getting shot, you're going to die at some point if you don't stop for a couple seconds. You have thruster packs. Everybody has thruster packs. So it's basically you can do like a quick dodge left or right. And also you can do a ground pound now, which is pretty cool. That everybody has it. So it's hard to use and it's not an instant kill. But if you jump up in the air with your thruster packs, you can then, if you hold the crouch button, it sort of does this charge where you can then aim and then it'll do like a little ground smash. Also, there's one thing that is overpowered where if you're sprinting full speed, you can do a melee, which is kind of like a shoulder charge. And they say it's not a one-hit kill, it just takes your shields down if you don't have shields, but they think it's overpowered, they're probably going to change that.
Yeah.
And also, you sort of have parkour, like if you get to a ledge, you'll pull yourself up. It won't be like you have to perfectly make the jump like a lot of Halo games.
Yeah.
So some of the fun trick jumps are gone, but that's fine because I think movement speed in games are now all parkour basically. So you can't run on the walls, but if you get to a ledge right near and you're a super soldier, you can probably pull yourself up a little bit like every other game.
Yeah.
And the most controversial thing, even though it shouldn't be, is like you now have aim down sights, which is like every other game. So it's left trigger now, instead of throwing a grenade, will make you aim your gun. So some Halo games have always had zoomable guns where you just click on the stick, it goes into the zoom. But now it's like you actually, like every other game you play, like a Battlefield or Call of Duty, it's like you aim down the sights and you have like a smart scope now, which doesn't really mean anything other than just graphically what it looks like. And if you get shot now, you get descoped, which Halo 4 wasn't like that for some reason. But those are just kind of the little things that I saw. It looks pretty cool too. Like graphically, obviously it looks cool. Like Halo 4 looked great, even though I don't love it. It looked really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks fun, and there's new game modes too, which there's kind of a similar one in Halo 3, but people didn't play it a lot, where it's like you have 1 life per round, and then it's like first to 5. But yeah. Oh, another thing too, sorry, is that it's got dynamic chatter, they call it. So your characters will talk to each other throughout the match. So rather than like you being like, oh, there's a guy in the sniper tower, your character will say that if you get killed by somebody in the sniper tower or something like that. If you see somebody, so I don't know. That looks it could be okay. I like that they're trying to make it balanced, which I think is important in Halo, and that they're also trying to innovate it at the same time. Because 343 just trying to copy like the way Bungie did it wasn't really working out for me.
No. I mean, that was always especially once it changed, it just felt like it lost a lot.
Right. But like, yeah, also they try to make 4 a little bit too much like Call of Duty. You get like care packages and stuff in multiplayer. Like you get kill streaks, and then you get power weapons if you kill a lot of people, which just makes you more powerful.
I feel like Call of Duty always just sets the precedent, and everyone just reacts because that's obviously the big shooter. So they're just like, oh, people really like these perks. Call of Duty, that's what makes people play more.
Yeah,
is because then they get all these badges and blah blah blah. So we have to keep people entertained. We have to do the same thing, and then I always just feel like then you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to do the same thing, I'll play the one that's better than...
But ironically, Call of Duty, the way they innovate is by copying those games. Like, Advanced Warfighter has, like, you can see through walls, like Promethean Vision. Like, you have jetpacks now. You have all these other things that were basically... You can, like... It's basically Titanfall and Halo. A little bit of Crysis thrown in there. But it's funny because for one of the game modes, which is exactly like... They have Oddball now, and they have, like... Ricochet, which is the Halo 4 game type. I don't know if you ever played it. You have a ball. Try to score, you can either throw it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, the 2 team logos for that game mode, there's an A for like Blue Team or Alpha or whatever, but it looks exactly like the Titanfall A. And literally a Spartan helmet is the other. Like, it's not the Master Chief Spartan helmet. It's the one with the thing. So it's funny that
better than the pot leaf and then
I agree, but it's like
Snoop Dogg, which was their other 2 options.
They're not even pretending like they're not stealing stuff from the other games.
They're basically saying, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna steal?
Right, exactly. Well, that's the problem, is because they spent so much time copying those games to begin with to become where they are. Now they can still copy those games, and people are like, oh my god, Call of Duty is so fresh and innovative now because you can see through walls and have jetpacks.
Because I think, and we can stop our Call of Duty fun talk.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people, they get, maybe 3 games a year, and it's like you get your Madden, you get your Call of Duty, and then you get something else. So it's like you might get Call of Duty, and they might be doing stuff that people have already perfected years ago, like Halo or something like that. But if you were a PlayStation owner, you didn't know anything about Halo.
Right.
I mean, you know about it, but you're just like, oh, Call of Duty's new and fresh.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, I wouldn't have gotten Titanfall, so I'd be like, oh, look at this, parkour, new and fresh.
Yeah. I just have a problem with all the games trying to copy each other. I have a problem with other games trying to copy Call of Duty, and I definitely have a problem with Call of Duty copying those games, and then everybody like, well, wow, this is so great and new and different when it's not.
Yeah, well,
but it's because they only play Call of Duty every year, and I mean like the media too. I'm not just saying people are playing it. They're like, this is a fresh, new, innovative take on warfare, except that it's not, because sci-fi shooters have been doing it for years.
Yeah.
So
I mean, take Black Site, Area 51, and they've probably copied.
Oh my god. Have you played that yet?
No.
Okay.
Can't wait to.
I know.
I'm excited.
I need somebody else to help me finish those achievements.
Yeah. I'm trying not to play games that you have, because I know you're busy with things.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Save for the podcast.
I'm like really looking forward to playing Saints Row 3 if we ever get to it. I know that's probably down the line.
Yeah, 15 years.
But I had to delete...
Not even close to Saints Row 2
Yeah,
to finish.
I had to delete some things on my hard drive, and then it downloaded Saints Row 3 because I guess it's been in my queue this whole time. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want to play Saints Row 3. Because I know, too, you can play the whole story co-op and things like that.
I mean, we could go right into it, but I imagine you probably want to finish up other games.
I don't really care.
Okay.
I'm fine with that being like our co-op franchise if we just play Saints Row for a while, because there's plenty to do, and because you can do the entire thing co-op, and it's fun.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like those games. My natural assumption was just like Saints Row, and then we'd go to like, maybe you want to finish Unreal Tournament.
Right. Yeah, we have a long list of games where we have multiplayer stuff only that we can probably check off the list.
Yeah.
We would get more games completed, that's for sure.
Yes.
But anywho, so I guess what else are you playing right now?
Well,
I guess what are you playing right now?
So here's the deal. Here's the short and long of it.
Okay.
For the rest of the year, I'm only working 4-day weeks because that's how much vacation time I've saved up.
Okay.
So the day that I am off and Caitlin is at work, I've dedicated to trying to clean up some of my multiplayer games. My goal is that I'm trying to do 2 games at the same time.
Which is new for you.
Which is new for me.
Yeah.
One game and this is only focusing on multiplayer.
Yeah.
But like one game that I can do all the multiplayer in like 1 to 2 sessions, like maxing out at like 4 hours of doing multiplayer, and then one game that's more of a long haul.
You're talking about Singularity and Shadowrun?
So, well, no, those are both long hauls.
That's what I thought Singularity was. Yeah.
Like I did, like right now it's also, all right, you threw me off by
I'm sorry.
saying words. It's also, for TA, it's also their viral month.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sessions that are just set up for, like, get the achievements that require you to kill developers and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But so I started Singularity, which is a pretty run-of-the-mill shooter. But they have 2 modes. They have, like, a monsters versus humans, and then they have, like, essentially a monsters versus humans with flags. But like you pick, like, it's kind of interesting where the fact is like you pick a different character. Like your character loadout is like there's like 5 different humans. There's like your healer, there's a guy who can teleport but he's kind of weak.
Yeah.
Then you have a guy who comes with a shield. And then you have, just your regular like
assault
guy.
Yeah.
And then for like monsters you have a bunch of different ones. You have like your zombie who's just kind of strong and slow. You have a tick, which is literally just like a tick, but it's the coolest one. You can possess guys.
Patrick Warburton as the tick.
Yeah, no, just like you're super small on the map. You can climb on walls. You can go on ceilings. Like you can attach to whatever you want.
Yeah.
And your attack is like you can jump into a soldier. Like you can kill them. And assuming
you take over their body.
Assuming there's no one else around that can shoot you off while you're going into their body, because they're helpless once that starts happening, then you control that soldier, and so you get all their powers.
That's pretty
shield,
cool.
Whatever it is. So there's a bunch of different monsters. I started that, but it's gonna be forever.
Yeah.
It's another long one. It's like there's 2 of them. There's 2 modes. There's only 2 modes. One mode, both modes are win 25 matches, which you wouldn't think is too tough.
Yeah.
But you need 6 people to start a match, which is already a lot for a game that's so old. And second, the teams are always randomized. So you in terms of like who's getting the win, since I'm obviously not doing this legit, it's just like, okay, this person hasn't been on a winning team yet. So like, and the matches are all timed. There's no kill limits. So you can't shorten the time.
That's every super annoying for boosting.
Every match is 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
5 minutes you play on both sides. It's just whoever has the most kills at the end of 10 minutes. So in an hour, you can only get 5 matches done, because then the rest is loading times and going back to the lobby. So it's like, to win 25, you figure like in 2 hours, you're lucky to be on the winning side half the time. So you're only getting 5 wins every 2 hours.
Yep.
So multiply that out. It's 2 modes. It's going to take forever.
Yep.
That's my long game that I'm working on. My short one is right now is just a fighting game. It's the Showdown, Samurai Showdown.
How is that?
It's the worst fighting game I've ever played.
Okay.
But it's I already beat Street Fighter versus Tekken, which is a much better fighting game. But this is literally just like win 50 matches, which your opponent can just quit out once he joins. So that should be relatively quick. But I'm just like every week I'm just gonna try and like knock out all the multiplayer I can for every game. Other than that, what I've actually been playing, me and Caitlin got Lego Batman 2.
Yeah.
Because we beat Lego Marvel. We've only played a little bit of it, but it's good.
I heard it's better than the first Lego Batman.
Oh, it's much better than the first one.
Yeah.
Already. Like, it's got jokes.
It's
voiced.
the first one, I think, right? That has synced voice.
Yeah. I think it might be the first one. I don't know, like, when the timeline of when it came out, but it's got voice. It's got a good set of characters. My complaint with the Lego Batman series, and I know that they just did a third one,
which is that's the thing. I think it's got. I don't know what you're gonna say, but the third one is basically Lego superheroes.
Yeah, I know. That's the commercial. It's just like all these characters, and Lego Batman 2 is like you get Wonder Woman and Flash and Superman and all that stuff, and it's great. I have a problem with it being set in Gotham for so many games because
it's boring to look at. It's all dark
it's if you're gonna do Lego superheroes either side, DC or Marvel, just pick your hub world to be like Metropolis, or pick it to be just New York City or whatever you want, because like everything is so dark and dreary, and every level looks
it's all
aesthetically
gray and black.
The same. Yeah, because like they're all meant to be played as Batman.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, okay, I get it, and I like Batman, but I'm sick of just the aesthetics of it. Like, here's Joker, here's like he's recruiting all the bad guys. Here we go. Like,
but the third one's in space.
Yeah, but it's going to be
there's no black tiles there.
Dark Gotham space.
Yep.
It's like Marvel. I think Marvel ruined me, and I know it came out in the timeline. It came out after Lego Batman 2.
Yeah,
but it's just
way
like
after.
The levels were switched up because it's just like, here's your hub world, but you have to go do something from. It's just like, oh, Magneto's attacking the moon, so you just get in a spaceship and you go to the moon, and then it's solved. Like, there's no one caring about continuity in that story. So just like, don't make everything Gotham, and then they're like, now we have to go to this abandoned factory. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care. Just can we do something bright and sunny? Can we go out in the daytime?
Right.
But then other than that, I'm still just plowing through the rest of the stuff. Grand Theft Auto, so long. I could go on forever, but I don't want to. No, I feel like that's enough. I'm not playing anything new besides Lego Batman and a bunch of multiplayer for games that shouldn't have been made in the first place.
Yeah.
What are you playing, Chris? I already know the answer.
I know.
But I would like to hear.
I'm kind of over talking about Destiny because I'm overplaying it.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to interject.
Okay.
Now that, and you'll probably talk about beating the raid. Maybe you will. Maybe
if you want me to. If you think that's an interesting thing to talk about.
I don't know. I don't know what our viewers care about.
Okay.
But now that you've beaten Destiny, you've gotten all the achievements, and I know you were like, I'm enjoying playing Destiny without getting achievements. Now that you have all the achievements, will you go back and play Destiny?
That was part of what I wanted to talk about.
Okay. All right.
But I can get to it now.
Well, okay. You can get to it.
So I finished the 1,000-point achievements for Destiny.
Yeah.
The last achievement I had on the list was to beat the raid without anybody in your fire team dying. Nobody can die the entire time. Nobody can disconnect or any of that stuff because it voids it for some reason. So I finally got that done. I had been playing with a bunch of guys every day. We're basically, we're going to get this. I had done it with a couple other groups before, and after 2 or 3 days of doing the same thing and having problems with like disconnects or people being bad, I would just not. I would leave that group and find another group.
Yeah.
So I found this good group. We did it Monday, Tuesday. Both those 2 days, we had disconnect problems. One guy in particular, if somebody disconnects, like I said, you can't get the achievement. Especially, if they join back in, you can't get the achievement.
Yeah.
And he was the host. He was a nice guy. We'd been playing together for a while. So we're like, okay, we'll keep trying to do it. We did it Monday, Tuesday, was not working, a lot of disconnects. So third day, we're getting really good. Like we're great at the first parts, and we've done it so much that like because we pair off, we know what to do, we know everybody's job for every section.
Yeah.
And like we know each other's voices now, because before it'd be like, oh, top left, there's this, and now it was just their partner would say it and they would know where they were basically. So you would know if you were supposed to respond to something just because we'd played so much together.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Plus, we were always joking around and having fun and messing around because we'd been playing it a lot and for a long time. So we
need something to keep yourself
we were waiting. One guy was going to the bathroom between one of the sections, so we were just hanging out one place, messing around. And I sat down on a rock. I literally just sat down my character, and then I was going through my inventory screen, but people can't see that you're doing that. And I dismantled a legendary object, which gave me all this like special gear. Basically, it dismantled it so you get like ascended energy and all this other stuff. But that shows up on the bottom of the screen, like if you were to kill somebody or, in a multiplayer match. So one of the guys was like, whoa, how'd you get that thing? And I was like, oh, if you sit on this rock long enough, you get that. So the next guy got down and sat there, and he did the same thing because he figured out what I did.
Yeah.
And we did it for 5 of the 6 people, and we tricked this other guy into sitting there for like 5 minutes. But it's not working for me. Why isn't it working? Just stupid stuff like that you do when you're playing a game way too long, too many days in a row.
Yeah.
But just the camaraderie is always fun when you're playing with that much people. And they were good guys, too. So there was this one section where you have to jump across disappearing platforms to go across this huge chasm.
Mega Man style.
Yes.
Mega Man always had those blocks.
Right. But you don't know, because it's 3-dimensional and both up and down too. You don't know where the next one's gonna appear. So there's kind of not exactly a cheat, but a way that people do it where you have to jump across this huge chasm. You have to use your boosters. Anyways, it's the hardest part to do the first time without dying. Yeah. Because enemies are easier to deal with than random jumping puzzles for the most part. And so the idea we came up with was whoever was the host would go into the list of names. And if that person was going to fall, because you're going to fall before you hit the sort of kill floor, basically.
You'd be kicked out?
You kick him out of the thing as fast as you could. So like, okay, if we can boot the guy fast enough, we don't,
Yeah, and then that guy.
It sucks because we're almost at the end. We're going to try to beat the end without him. It's going to be harder for us because we only have 5 people.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And then that guy goes, God damn it!
Right.
Now I got to join another one.
Anyways, so for whatever reason, I was the host that time. The last time we did it. And so I have to sit there now hovering over the name. It's like, okay, complete silence. If they say anything, boot them. So, right, exactly right. That's what, yeah. So one guy put his headset down and came back and it was really annoying because he like put his headset on and he was like saying stuff and I was like, ah. So basically, I had to hover over the guy's name and like silence for like 45 seconds, and I'm just like, because you got to do it fast enough because if it registers a death, we all have to start over again. So that was the most stressful part of it. And then so I had to sit there waiting for 5 people to jump over the chasm, hovering over their name. Pressure kept mounting and mounting. So I was the last guy. I was the last guy to go. So I gave the host to somebody else, and he had to hover over my name. And I was like, oh god, like why do I have to be last too? And like the class it was harder for me to jump statistically. So I finally did it, and I finally got to the end. And the guy that had to hover over my name, he's like, that was the most stressful part of the raid that I've ever done, is like waiting to kick you out was the hardest thing. I was like, yeah, I had to do that for 5 people and then go last. So we get to the end then. The guy disconnects that is always having problems. And we're like, we're just going to do it anyways. We'll say, like, reset all your stuff, reset your router, reset your Xbox. We're just going to do the final boss's practice. So, of course, we beat it.
Yeah.
We beat it without him. We did it with 5 guys. The last very part of it, too. We only did... this doesn't mean anything if you haven't played the game, but we only did it with 2 teleports in the final boss, which is really impressive, especially with 5 guys. And on the last wave... so there's these big sort of floating eyeball things that shoot at you, but the main thing is they do huge explosions when they die, and they also chain react to the other ones. So I was standing on a pillar, and there was 7 or 8 of them underneath me, and I couldn't get to where I needed to go. Like, we're all supposed to jump in the middle while he shielded to shoot the guy. So I just had to stay there and survive long enough while they shot the bad guys. Like if I tried to do what I was supposed to do, I would have died.
Yeah.
So it was crazy and exciting and fun. So we beat the raid. We were all excited. We felt bad for the other guy, so we jumped back in and tried to do it again with him. He kept disconnecting though. After 5 more tries, we're like, okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So I was done with the game. I had completed everything. So I still played it then after that. I didn't have, I was like, okay, I kind of experimented too, because I was like, I don't know if I still want to play or not. It's one, because it's like, oh, I finally did all this. I have all this gear. And it's like, I know the DLC is going to come out in a month. So it's like, if there's ever a time to take a break, it's right now. Because I have all the things I need to have. I have all the gear. I have multiple versions of all the best gear. Everything's leveled up. So me playing it right now, I would physically not actually be getting anything. Yeah, because like my XP doesn't count.
No
like
progress.
I said, I'm not progressing at all. Like I'm not even progressing like my boots or something stupid. So, but I still played it a little bit more. That's why I got the 360 version, because I wanted to see like, oh, if playing again for achievements make me want to play this game, or am I over this game right now? And then that didn't get to work, because the second I put in the game, I got all the achievements.
Yeah.
So I only played it a little bit just to see that the graphics are so much worse on that version. Yeah. I don't know if I'm completely spoiled now, but it just looks like it's on like a CRTV or something.
I think you're probably a little spoiled. I don't think it's probably not that bad. It's not like, oh my god, what system did
garbage?
They make
Yeah. It's like an N64 version of the game. So I'm waiting to. I'm not going to play Destiny until the DLC comes out,
and then
which
see
is
if
in
it
like
still
2 weeks.
Rekindles your love.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, I don't want to play this anymore. But I did have that feeling like I have no motivation to play right now, and I wondered if it was tied to achievements. I tried to experiment with that. That didn't work. But I double checked to see when my last games were, and I played for 3 more days after I had already gotten all the achievements, because I did get a new gun that I wanted to level up, and I leveled it up, and then I didn't want to play anymore. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I'm still into it. Like, I played every day for 2 months. So
no, I understand. Yeah.
Monday,
I would have been burned.
This
out.
last Monday,
I'm not critiquing you for being burned out.
This last Monday was the last time I played. It was technically Sunday night that I played, and then Monday started with shooting pops at night, and then also at midnight the Master Chief Collection came out. So that's why I haven't played. Yeah, but I'm fine with not playing.
Yeah, I mean, my question, just like, now that you have essentially another game and you have nothing that you're technically working towards, right, would Destiny still hold your attention? Like, NBA for me is like, there's nothing I'm working towards, but I can still put it in and just...
Even if it's a small goal, like I said, even if I had some gear I had to upgrade, I would still play it, because you have daily and weekly things where you get cool material that you can upgrade with. But also, I guess they're doing a full... The servers were down today because they were doing a major update. So they might have already changed things to make it more interesting. Yeah. But they've changed the economy and stuff like that. Also, they technically fixed the Iron Banner. I know how we talked about how the level differences weren't that much. Yeah. And it was supposed to start again that next week. And it came on for like an hour or two, and it was the same, and they pulled it, and it hasn't come back yet. So I guess... They made it so your gear does matter. They made more discrepancy. You have to be at least a level 20 or 25, I think, to get in.
Which also kind of defeats the purpose then, that I think what the really high-ups wanted is they wanted to play against level 2s.
Yeah, to one-shoot noobs in the face. Yeah. So you feel like a god.
Yeah, which pretty depressing for those people, but... Because now if you're like, I'm already a level 20, and the highest you can be is whatever, 35 or something like that.
It's to validate all the time and energy you spent leveling your character up. If it doesn't mean anything, then why did I do it? Yeah. But also they wanted to change the structure, because there's a bunch of different merchants and different factions and stuff, and you do like bounties or activities for them to get more notoriety in that. You get like levels for them, right? And the same was true for Iron Banner, where you had to get to level 2 to be able to buy like clothes, or level 3 to buy guns. And I guess they wanted to make it where every time they do the special event, it resets. So now they've changed the way you progress. Yeah. Because like I played a lot and I only got to level 2. And so if they were going to reset that, there was no way that people can get to level 3 like consistently every week.
You'd be surprised.
So they're just changing that around. Well, yeah, I know. And I haven't played multiplayer that much.
There's always somebody who's willing to put that time in.
But also, it wasn't worth it, because though there was like only 2 guns available, and both of them were worse than the guns I already had. So why kill myself and grind to get guns that aren't great?
So let's say that you did it.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anywho, so that's Destiny. That's Destiny Corner.
Maybe the final Destiny Corner.
Until the DLC comes out in 2 weeks.
No. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's stupid, and you're just like, Destiny Corner DLC sucks, and then you walk away. You literally tip the mic over.
I wish I could just say one sentence about it, but I always have too many things to say. The only thing, I don't even think it would though. I would say the only way I would not play the DLC is if they had a stupidly hard achievement.
That would just unvalidate everything
well,
that you've worked towards?
Well, no. It's like if it was like beat the raid on hard without anybody dying. Which I know I already beat the raid normally, and I beat the raid on hard. There's already things that I thought were impossibly hard that I've already done.
Yeah.
But those are going to be harder because, one, they've upped the level to 32 now. So the enemies are going to be level 34 on hard. So doing that without dying. I don't even know what the raid is yet. That's what I'm excited for. I'm definitely going to play the DLC, I think, just for the raid. That's all I really care about. Because that's the most fun experience in the game.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so Master Chief Collection came out.
I'm unfamiliar with this game, Chris. What is this? It's
It's
Master Chef? Is it the TV show?
It's the Master Chef, right. He goes around to like other shows like Chopped and even Kitchen Nightmares and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's like his saga, they call it.
Oh, okay.
And he goes around helping other kitchens out.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's Gordon Ramsay.
Yes and no.
Okay, it's not Gordon.
Because Gordon Ramsay still exists in this universe.
Oh, okay.
Like Kitchen Nightmare, he's in that, and Master Chef, and you know.
You help Gordon Ramsay a lot.
Yeah, sometimes he's your adversary. He's I'm going to call him your arbiter. Okay. But anyways, yeah. So Master Chief Collection came out for the Xbox One because it's an Xbox exclusive. It's all 4 numbered Halo games. So all the games that Master Chief has appeared in officially. So 1, 2, 3, and 4.
He officially appeared in Spartan Assault too.
No, he didn't.
Wasn't he on the cover? Or is that just some guy?
That's another Spartan.
Okay,
right.
continue.
I think it's that stupid chick.
Halo Wars.
4.
Did he appear in Halo Wars? He had to have.
He did not appear in Halo Wars. Halo Wars.
He's on the cover of that one for sure.
He's not.
It's a bunch of dudes like standing around a warthog.
There's Spartans in it because it's a prequel and it takes place where there's like a shit ton of Spartans. Yeah, see? Don't ask stupid questions, Phil. Halo Wars is still a good game. I think you should play it. Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. Do you like RTSs at all?
Yeah.
It's one of the few that I've played and I've definitely enjoyed it. Anyways, off topic. So, Halo 1 came out 2001. And then in 2011, they came out with a remastered version. It was the first official game that 343 released. So after taking over the Halo franchise, that was the first official thing they did. Completely redid the graphics, updated everything. You could switch between the 2 graphical engines because it was technically running the original graphics engine and physics and sound, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They were just adding a layer of texture on top of it. Anyways, that looked really great. The anniversary edition did, except I feel like it was too light. Overall, there was a lot of atmospheric scenes in Halo where you were forced to use your flashlight, but in the anniversary edition, you could never needed to turn it on even once. And it was especially annoying there's a nighttime sniper mission where you have to use the night vision on your scope to see, and it was so bright. If you turned the night vision on, it was so bright you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
So that was annoying. Anyways, that's a side note. So this was now the 10th anniversary of Halo 2, so they wanted to come out with an anniversary edition, and instead of just redoing the graphics for 2, they decided to release all of the Halo games. So Halo 2 is the only one that got
most excited for Halo 4.
I know. So Halo 2 is the only one that officially got the makeover, the graphical makeover, even though all games are now running in 1080p, 60 frames a second. So they all look much better than they did on their respective consoles. I guess the 360 is the only 2 that haven't been touched yet. So Halo 3 and Halo 4 are both running at higher resolution. And they still look pretty good. Like Halo 3 is sort of the worst right now because it didn't get any work. It's the oldest game and it didn't get any work. Yeah. But it still looks fine, I think, overall. Especially seeing things in 1080 and 60 frames a second really does crispen everything up to the point where you can't tell a difference. So I don't know what to say. There's so much there. There's also every multiplayer map ever.
Well, I mean, like, I don't
and
think...
they remade some new ones.
Obviously, Halo's a pretty well-known series, so I don't know if we need to go into, like...
The bullet points of it? Okay.
The like, here is a great level from Halo 1.
No.
I think you could just be like, here's the new stuff that's great.
So the new stuff that's great about just the Halo 2 anniversary. I've spent my most time playing that so far. It's only come out a couple days ago. So they redid all the cutscenes, Blur did all the cutscenes, and they did all the mocap, all the performance capture. Looks fantastic. Like they basically made a Halo movie out of Halo 2. There's over an hour of cinematics. It's all great. It all looks almost photorealistic, but still in the universe. Looks really good. That stuff's spot on. They changed the character model for the Gravemind. I know that was kind of like a controversial thing. Not that they changed it, but the way he looked. I don't know if you remember. He basically looks like a giant plant monster.
Was that the one at the boss?
It is the, I guess, spoilers for a 10-year-old game.
Yep.
The Gravemind is basically the big hive mind of the Flood. So, I don't know if you remember in Halo 2, through separate events, both Master Chief and the Arbiter get captured by him, and he talks to them, and he's like this giant, he looks like Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what he looks like. He looks like almost like a, the chomper plants in Mario.
Yeah.
But more planty.
More chompers.
But anyway, so they changed, it wasn't great. I'm a fan of Little Shop of Horrors, so it never bothered me. But he does kind of look not too terrifying. So they changed the way it looks for the updated version. He kind of looks like a sock puppet now, which is kind of annoying. Like, he looks like a sock. But when they do the close-ups of it, it does have multiple mouths, and it's, bloody and creepy and weird. So that was good. Also, so now there's terminals in the game, right? They added terminals to the Halo.
Good. I think that was everybody's favorite part about.
Right. The thing about the terminals, especially in Halo 4, were if you unlock the terminal, it would be like, okay, you go up to a terminal, you press a button, and it's like, okay, you unlocked it. So then you would have to quit out of the game, go boot up the app for the Halo Waypoint, scroll through all the menus, and then find it there once it's unlocked, which you probably would never do. You would do it after you played the game or never. And
I don't think the entire time I played Halo 4, I even had Halo Waypoint.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.
I played through the whole game. I'm like, what? I think the only time I got Waypoint is when you downloaded it when you came over.
So we could watch the shorts or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we both agreed that that was a feature that was borderline broken. They should not have done that. They were trying to push Halo Waypoint. Don't make me leave your game to go watch something else. Yeah. Same thing, like I said, with the Destiny, with the Grimoire cards. Don't make me shut off my game, go somewhere else to read about story that's important for this game. If it's not in the physical game, I'm not going to deal with it. But what they did for this, they added terminals to Halo 2, and it runs off. They just launched the Halo channel. So they technically are there. But it's seamlessly transitioned because the way the Xbox One works, and it runs 2 operating systems, and you quick switch between things. So basically, you walk up to the terminal, you press X, then it plays the video like it normally would, and it goes right back to your game. So technically, it's on the Halo Channel app, but you can't tell the difference. So I'm fine with that. So they've improved that. I mean, it's good. Halo 2 is a great game, and I will say though that Halo 1 Anniversary, the first game that 343 was coming out with, 10th anniversary of a huge game, first game they did, they spent a lot of time with the remastered version. Every scene when you switch between them is like a huge difference. It's very jarring in a good way. Like, oh my God, I thought, basically playing through with the new engine, you're like, oh, I thought this is basically what the game looks like. But then if you switch back, you're like, oh my God, it's all just blocks and gray blobs. Like, how did I play this?
Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I thought that was nicer.
But I don't think they spent as much time and energy on the Halo 2 Anniversary Edition. One, because...
Well, they were combining 4 games.
They were combining...
They're probably also working on Halo 5.
They were combining 4 games. They were also working on Halo 5. They have already come out with a couple games now. They're not as eager to please.
They can't be as dedicated.
So, Halo 1... Remastered had every inch was covered in something new, the foliage, especially there's a lot of grass and trees and plants, and they made sure every inch looked new and different. I feel like they didn't really do that for Halo 2. They kind of did a broader thing. Some things look really great, some things are fine, but there's a lot of walls that are just blank, which they would have never done that in the first remake. I understand it's a time issue, and because they've done so much other stuff, it's fine, but it's less dramatic. Also because Halo 2 looked so much better than Halo 1, even though it was both on the original Xbox. In those, they were both the best looking games
at the time.
At the time,
yeah.
So Halo 1 was by far the best looking game until maybe even Halo 2 came out, and then Halo 2 was so much better.
Yeah. And then Outlaw Golf came out.
Yeah, blew that out of the water. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any other questions or?
Well, I know I wouldn't be doing my Halo hatred enough justice if we didn't talk about that the multiplayer's busted.
Yeah. So that's another thing too. Is one of the huge draws of this was that every multiplayer map ever created for the Halo franchise was on this, and you could play all of them in their original engines. So you could play Halo 1 on Xbox Live for the first time ever, because before Xbox Live didn't exist, and you'd have to play with somebody in the same room as you. But that's, so there's a problem on the server side of things. The game itself, I guess, is not broken, but something's wrong with the servers they're using. So, which means it's easier for them to fix, in theory.
Well, yeah. You fix the server, you don't.
But that's the thing. Like, you can't. It's like, you don't want to blame the game because it's not the game's fault, but the people that made the game are the same people that own the servers.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not 343's fault. It's not the individuals that made the game's fault, but it's the company that came out with the game's fault for sure.
Well, yeah.
And like, I guess
it's somebody's fault.
This week they've been having other issues too, not just with that game, with other games and with like purchases and stuff like that. I keep getting service updates saying like, hey, get stuff down. So yeah. So. It sucks that the multiplayer. I guess it's fixed today. I've played a couple matches. I played the first day. I played Monday night when after midnight.
So Tuesday
and it was
morning.
fine. I got in a couple matches. The one thing that was ridiculous though, the first match I got in, it was a 2-on-4. I was like, why not just make it 3-on-3? And then the next match was a 5-on-3. So it's like balancing. They're having a hard time balancing, which is like the first thing you do. Like, you have enough people to divide the teams evenly, but they're not. It wasn't dividing teams the right way, which made it easier, like I said, to get some of the multiplayer achievements that were harder. But it wasn't a lot of fun. It wasn't very fair. But since then, I guess they fixed it. Like, I tried to play a game last night real quick to see if it was fixed, and I found a game in like 10 seconds, and it was a full game.
Yeah.
So I think it might be fixed.
Well,
there was another problem too with achievements because it was on the server side of things. So I guess the way that the Xbox One counts achievements now is on the servers, not on your actual console. So I did the requirements to unlock the achievements, and if I went into the app or went into my achievements, it would say like done, and then it would say unlocking ... like pending. So I have still 5 or 6 achievements that I've technically done, but because the servers weren't working then, it hasn't counted them yet. But it's not like I need to redo them again or they're glitched. It's just they haven't unlocked officially. Well, one of them is already done. One of them has already been like that, and I guess this is a problem that has existed since the Xbox One has come out. I just have never countered it yet.
Okay,
so.
I was gonna say this is the first. If this is the first time like this has ever happened, you can't say for sure that's like they might have to reset their servers and then it'll say, not done.
Right.
But
that's it. I guess it saves the data on your console like that you did it.
Yeah.
Once it checks that box, then you're fine. It just hasn't updated the servers and back. So.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable. You know how I am about achievements and stuff.
Yeah.
If I thought it was glitched, I would be pissed.
Yeah, but go buy a new Xbox One so you can have it start counting again.
Yeah. But luckily, I mean, this is only 2 days after the games come out. Luckily, there's so much more to do. Like, there's 4 full games to play that you don't have to be playing multiplayer right now. So, if it was a multiplayer only thing, that would be a big thing.
Yeah. The fact that you can go through
there's plenty of other things to keep me occupied
it's not Call
right
of Duty.
Now. That's true.
The 10-minute campaign of hold X to pray.
Yeah.
Pay your respects.
Just like in our driving game where you accidentally kill that boy and that family. When you go to the funeral, you have to press X to pay your respects. Yeah. Or you cannot. That's a decision you can make.
Yeah. You have to race to the funeral. In your race.
Yeah.
But you can't hit anything else because otherwise your guy's conscious goes so far in the toilet he commits suicide. Do
you think like one of the family members comes out and sees the car? You're obviously in a racing car that has a dent in the fender.
It's still got a little blood on it.
Right, and hair stuck in there.
Oh, it went
stuck
dark.
in the grill.
It went dark.
Because it wasn't dark before.
Yeah. No, I mean, but fine. It was like working to pay off your debt to society was perfect.
So that's what I'm playing right now. It's been 2 days and I'm pretty busy with Pops, so.
Yeah. And I can't wait till I get my computer and then I can talk about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Because then I'll be working towards certain Xbox games and I'll be like, sick, fucking playing Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Pop it in a Steam game and then I won't worry about achievement. So then it's just like story and done.
Yeah. Are there any... Well, since there's not achievements now tied to the PC games, you can get the PC versions. I know you're trying to stay for console games. You get console. PC is PC only games,
or just games that I can't.
But what if there was a game that you don't physically own the console version, but that's super hard achievements, but you still want to play it? Would you get it on PC?
No, I'd still do console. If it came out for like the 360, then I could still, in theory, get it. My stance has always been that an achievement won't scare me away from playing a good game or a game that I want to play. I already have games on my card that I will never beat, regardless of how much time I put into them, because I just know I don't possess the skills.
And there's discontinued ones too.
Yeah, since I can't hit 100% now, just like that won't sway my decision.
Yeah.
If I finish it, whenever I finish my 360 cycle or whenever they shut it down, if I finish at 70% or I finish at 69%, it's
not going to matter.
It's not going to matter.
That's another thing, too. Just starting the Master Chief Collection, because there's so many goddamn achievements, it knocked down my completion percentage from 81 down to 75.
Yeah, but it's going to bring your ratio up an insane amount.
Yeah, the ratio is super high. It's right now, it's 110,000 TA points.
Well, that's the thing, is because with everyone being able to do anything, play any of the games, there's no set, story progression.
Right.
So it's not just oh man, Halo 1 is already down to a 1.3.
Right.
It's because people are playing Halo and Halo 2.
Yeah, because there's so many things to do in so many games. It's okay, there's tens of thousands of people playing this game, but only 5 people have this one achievement.
Yeah.
And so that thinks it's because it's very hard, but in fact it's just because people haven't played it yet.
Yeah, so I mean, just like I said, your ratio for a short time.
Of course it's going to drop down.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But I mean, right now you'll go from whatever you're at, a 1.8 or something like that, and all of a sudden you'll finish Halo and you'll be at a 5.
Yeah.
Because I've seen they're just they're all 3, 5, 13. So I'm just okay.
Yeah. Well, some of them are going to stay hard.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, just going through them. There's some of the multiplayer ones. There's one that hit at a certain time.
Right. We should talk about the par times just because we mentioned it before it came out.
Okay.
So the par times for each level, at least right now, are not fluctuating. They are set, and they do not seem to be set with care. They're basically all between 15 and 25 minutes. Almost all of them are 15. Handful are 20. One is 25. And it's not cool because some of the levels you can pass in 5 minutes that are set at 15, and some of them are not even close. There's a lot of levels that nobody has the achievement for the par times because, like I said, I think they just randomly threw them out there.
They probably, like you said, I mean, if we're going to say that they're not fluctuating, we're going to say that somehow there's not going to be a back end server issue, then that's probably what they did. Is they probably took a level and they probably just they probably grouped everything into short, medium, and long. Right. And so they're just all medium levels are getting 20, all short levels are getting 15, all long levels are getting 25. And that's probably all they did. They probably didn't have people play through and just be like, what was your time? 13 minutes. What's your time? 33 minutes. But let's take a median. They probably just 15.
One, they could have, because if they did adequate playtest on this, even if it was a new game, they would have times. Plus, there's so many videos of even just speed runs of the game because it's been out for 10 to 13 years, depending on what game you're talking about. Yeah. And for Halo 1 Anniversary, like I said, there was an achievement for beating the library in under 30 minutes, and that was the hardest achievement in the game. And you had to implement tricks and grenade jumps and things like that. Par time's 20 minutes now. Yeah. So I don't understand how that's even possible. Better, Chris. Yeah. Ugh.
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I'm surprised. I would have liked it to do the fluctuating. I think that would have been a real unique twist to reward people for getting it early.
Yeah.
Because then technically your part times are going to be a little bit higher because you're going to have everyone playing it once and they're going to be playing it for maybe the first time through.
Right.
as opposed to like when the only people who are still playing it are just knocking off achievements and then it gets lower. Like I thought that would have been a nice twist, but I guess
the problem with
their blanket.
I know if that was like a normal game, yes, and if there was a game that people didn't have over a decade of experience speedrunning, because like you can choose who your rival is, so you can compare times and splits and stuff while you're playing through. And because I haven't set one physically for each, it just does the top one. And for Halo 2 right now, it's Goat Roped, who's the guy that has the world record for the speedrun. So every level I play, I get to a checkpoint. It's like, oh, you're like 15 minutes behind him because he beat the whole level in a minute and 23 seconds, you know? So it's kind of discouraging, but it is kind of cool to see that. But also, like I said, if that's how it was...
Can you do a ghost, though? Or is it just...
can
you do a ghost and just imitate? Because I remember Mirror's Edge had, like, beat a map in a certain time.
And you saw that ghost.
And you could pick a ghost, and then you pick one who maybe... Like, if your time was, you have to beat it under 3 minutes, you'd pick one who's really close to 3 minutes, but who just barely beat it. Yeah. 2:58. You pick that as your ghost, and then you can kind of, like, follow what they did, and then you're just like, oh, here's where they stumbled, and if I do this, I can skip past them, and then you can kind of figure out your times.
No, but I did watch a couple of his videos for some levels. After I'd already beat the game, and I was going to go through and just pick up some levels that I haven't done for. I was like, okay, I want to see what he did, some of the tricks, because I know, like, a lot of it. So Halo 2 especially has so many Easter eggs. I mean, they all do, but I've been focusing on the Halo 2 ones. Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. Like, there's a lot of hidden things throughout the level.
Surge energy drinks.
Yeah. Well, there's the thing called Blast Soda. Did you know it? Did you just throw that out there?
No, I saw you.
In the multiplayer maps, there's the Blast Soda. But in the campaign levels, there's both Easter eggs in the original version, and I know about most of those. And then they added some new ones. They added like dolls and like other things, and like sign gags. But yeah, it was fun because I hadn't gotten achievements for these things before. Like I had played Halo 2 and sort of picked up some of these tips or tricks or glitches or secrets, and now it's like it's fun to go through them all and
be rewarded.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, it's good that we're doing this podcast now, because I feel like if you didn't have Pops, I wouldn't be able to tear you away from...
No, you would. I mean, it's not... Now that I've finished the anniversary version of Halo 2, I don't really have anything new to play.
Yeah.
It's all just plain old stuff that I've played a million times.
But it's still Halo.
Yeah. I know. I like Halo.
I know.
And those first two games are like magical. I really think they are. Like, Halo 3 is not a bad game, but just compared to the first two games.
Yeah. I didn't hate Halo 3.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's so weird because the games are very different. Like, even though they are Halo games and they exist in the same universe.
The last level is always a race to beat the clock.
Not in Halo 2, though. Halo 1 and 3.
And 4. Isn't 4 the same thing?
No, Halo 4 is that stupid boss battle where you just, like, hit A.
Yeah, that's right. Like... 1 and 3.
Spoiler alert for Halo 4.
I thought there was a race at that.
Halo 2 also has, like, a boss battle to finish it.
It's been a while.
Speaking of boss battles. But yeah, so the games are very different, though. It's when you have them all next to each other, you really do notice the difference in both the storytelling, and the mechanics of everything. Like, they all still feel like Halo, obviously, but...
Yeah.
2 was such a ballsy move to have half of the story be with the Arbiter and all that other stuff. But it was interesting. I think it's good. I really like the Arbiter.
Well, I guess
in this.
It wasn't ballsy at the time because Master Chief didn't hold the sway that he does now. It sort of did that.
Like, it was a big controversy when it first came out. Like, nobody knew about it, and it divided. Yeah, it really divided.
And I remember that, but it's not like Master Chief was the star for like 4 games, and then they tried to do a half and half. They're just like, we only have 1 game under our belt, and then we're doing a half and half. Like, if they would have released a second game and it would have been all the Arbiter, I don't think people would have complained, because they would have been like, okay, 1's Master Chief, 2's Arbiter, 3's Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like, it doesn't matter.
Awesome.
But, I think now, especially, like, if they couldn't pull that off.
No. I will say, though, well, it's not just ballsy because of the fact that you played as somebody else other than Master Chief, but because it showed the other side of the story. It showed the people that you were fighting. It humanized the aliens. Like, you saw their culture, their race, what they were thinking, and, like, just the first scene in Halo 2 is the Master Chief is getting medals pinned on him for blowing up Halo, while the Arbiter is getting like stripped naked and branded because he let Halo blow up. So it's like you see the other sides of it. Now you feel bad for them, and now you don't feel super great about shooting elites in the face like you did before. So
they all have elite families back home.
But the terminals in Halo 2 tell a story of basically the Heretic, which I don't know if you remember that character in Halo 2.
Vaguely.
He's the guy that you have to go and kill as the Arbiter. Like, that's your story. And it turns out it's because he actually knows the truth about the Halo rings. But yeah, it tells the stories of the Heretic and stuff, and some of the Arbiters. And I think it would be really interesting, like, to do a Halo spinoff of just Arbiters. So I don't know if you know the story, but the Arbiters are basically like somebody that messes up, a high-ranking elite that messes up. They basically send them on a suicide mission, something that's important, but you're going to die doing it. So there's been like, over the years, there's been like hundreds of Arbiters that have died. So I think it would be cool to do like a side story of just Arbiter stories, and like each mission or two is a different guy in a different time period doing a different thing with different abilities and stuff like that.
It'd be interesting. I don't know if the general populace would.
No, like I said, just like a spinoff, just like a ODST, not like a full game, like a $30 game or something like that. That's
maybe
just
an
like
arcade game.
Yeah, something like that. I just think that would be interesting to delve into that story more than some of the stories they decide to get into. The 343, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of anything that's not in the games. I've said that before, but
yeah.
I think there is interesting stories there. They just haven't chosen to tell them yet.
They'll figure it out. They only need 10 more games.
And I didn't watch the Halo Nightfall, the digital series that comes with it. Only the first episode has been released, but I've just heard awful things about it. So I was gonna watch it just so I can comment on it on the podcast, but I haven't gotten around to it. It's a half an hour long. It's a half an hour long, and it comes out every single week.
Good news. There'll be other chances.
Yeah.
I don't think Halo's going away at the end of this week.
No, but I really want them to make something good. And they haven't so far. Like, the closest thing is just the redone cinematics for Halo 2. Like, that's you can watch them all just together back to back, and that's basically just a movie right there.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that's probably good for an episode. Yeah.
Just one?
Yep.
Well, for all those listening, I'm sorry, I had to burp. I had a silent burp. I had to swallow it down. You can follow us on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
I'm not even going to go through this.
Yeah.
Twitter,
Facebook,
email,
website.
You can see some things on YouTube. You can
Yeah,
also
Twitch. You can go to
sometimes Twitch it.
Yeah, even if we don't do live streams in the archives, you can watch past things we've done.
Reach out to us if you have any reason to.
I dare you. I dare you.
Double dog dare you. But
all right.
Yeah, that's our sign off. That's a lazy sign off, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Goodbye,
I think we should get the energy up, but
goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye forever.